Good morning, everybody. It's Lisa Copeland, and today is Friday, November 30th. And for those friends of mine that are in the automotive industry, today's the day we make it all happen, right, everybody? And those of you in any industry, today's the last day of the month. So I saved the best for last. And I told everybody that I'm going to start doing these amazing, fierce Fridays where I bring on business entrepreneurs, people that you would not normally have access to. You know, people like my guest today, John Hamlin, the CEO of Hamlin and Associates, a digital direct marketing company in Florida. You wouldn't be able to get to him normally. But those are the type of guests that we're bringing on Fridays because I want my tribe to have unusual access to some of the biggest and brightest players in the United States. And John Hamlin is no different. He is amazing. He's become a good friend of mine. He and I are doing a lot of business together. And I want to bring him on right now. John, people are lining up to see you. God, it's busy this morning. So how are you? Say hello to everybody. You're on screen.
Good morning, everybody.
Well, tell us about John Hamlin. I've been teasing the audience all week and my tribe all week about your amazing story, how you went from 8th grade dropout, living on the streets, in and out of institutions, to the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company and rolling around in your private jet.
Wow, I didn't tee that up too high. It is. It just I was born, 1961. I'm 56 years old. I came from a split family, and kind of grew up on the tough side of things. Was in and out of institutions. I'll readily admit that I probably deserved most of it. I was a little bit rebellious. And the funny part about it is when I was 9 years old, we lived in a trailer park. And I'm talking about not a very nice trailer park. And there was a guy in the trailer park who had the nicest trailer. And he was a car salesman. And, to everybody else in...
Okay, everybody. Hey, everybody, stick with me for a second. I think that we lost John, but I know that he'll call back in. And here he comes back. Hold on one second. John?
Yep.
We have to love technology today.
Yes.
It is not our friend, is it?
That's not really. But I don't have you live.
Okay, so where we lost you is that you were living in trailer parks and you were in and out, and you were living next door to a car salesman. It sounds like that sounds pretty seedy.
Well, he was, yeah, but you know what? He was like the guy that with the most money in the trailer park. He drove the nicest cars. I mean, I'm just going to be straight up. He drove great cars. Because they gave demos back then. He had a good-looking girlfriend, a pocket full of money, and to a kid living in a trailer that you could actually pull behind your car, he was it. And so I just, since then all I wanted to do was be a car salesman. Some people laugh at that, but that was, that's what I saw. That's what I looked up to. And, I got in and out of a lot of trouble growing up as a juvenile. Most every bit of it deserved, I assure you. I started washing cars for a gentleman that had a dirt lot, and he promised me that when I turned 18, that he would help me get a job to be a car salesman. On my 18th birthday, he called one of the bigger dealerships, made a phone call, and he said, "Go on down," and I got hired. But then I got fired. I got fired for my first 4 car salesman's jobs. But I love the business, I love the idea of the industry. But the reason I got fired was because I had all the wrong information. I was told, this is why I was told that I would be great in car sales. You'll be great in car sales because, I had the gift of gab, and that I had a line a mile long, and that I could sell snow to an Eskimo and all these things. That's why I was told I would be good at selling cars. And that's all bad data. Guys like that usually don't succeed in our business. Would you agree?
I would agree 1,000,000%.
And so that's why I kept getting fired. It wasn't until I saw, I'm going to date myself here, a gentleman named Jackie Cooper.
Oh, God, you just dated yourself. I remember seeing Jackie Cooper back in the 80s.
Wait a minute, it's not about being full of crap. It's not about lying. It's not about trying to be shifty. It's just the opposite. There's actually technique and things that you can learn to be a better salesperson. And once I hooked into that line of thinking and got rid of the old line of thinking, I actually started to have success in sales.
Okay, so tell us this, because there's a lot of people on here, and as successful as you are, and Jackie B. Cooper, somebody that I followed also back in the 80s, good grief, I can remember seeing him in Coliseums, and he came to Texas Stadium, the old Dallas Cowboys stadium. And what was the one takeaway you took from that you think was pivotal, listen to me, I haven't had enough coffee yet, pivotal in changing your mindset to go from being an unsuccessful, fired 4 times car salesman to starting your entrepreneurial success and your success in sales?
In regards to Jackie Cooper?
Yeah, Jackie Cooper, because I think Jackie Cooper, you said, was a pivotal point.
That is a great question. And I think anybody would relate to this. My takeaway is probably going to shock you. Was the one thing I remembered was every time you ask a question, nod your head. That's pretty nice, isn't it? Okay, now that's just technique. But when I went back to the dealership and my boss had asked me, so what did you think? I said, it was awesome. He goes, what did you learn? I went, I don't know, but it was awesome. See, so my real takeaway was there's so much more I can learn. It isn't about being full of crap. It isn't about lying, stealing, and cheating, which is what everybody told me it was about. It was about there's actually something you can learn to be a good salesperson. And so I started to claim on everything I could in the way of gaining knowledge. So my biggest takeaway, the small one was doing this. All right, I remembered that. The biggest takeaway was I've been approaching this all wrong. Is that there's a lot out there for me to learn. Being a good salesperson, you're not born; they're made. That's just my belief.
Okay,
so it's certainly true for me.
So I'm looking at your office right now, your beautiful new office, your beautiful building that you just erected. I've been there personally. It's fantastic. I love to see successful people. But I see a picture of you back there with our president. You have a pretty impressive lineup of pictures behind you. So how do you go from being a guy that grew up in a trailer park with your greatest ambition being a car salesman to being pictured with the president of the United States of America?
I ask myself that question every day. Honestly, the bigger story. Success can be dangerous. Once I learned how to sell, all right, and I was in the 80s and then into the 90s, I brought some trouble down on my own life. All right, I made some poor decisions, and that drove me kind of into the homelessness. And when I came out of that, I also became kind of spiritual. Okay. And, that's where I give the credit. Okay. Honestly.
So, whoa, John, you just said something. You were homeless.
Right.
Tell us about that.
I was a drug addict. Still am. I just haven't used in forever. And, what happened was, it got to the point where I just hit a rock bottom and I prayed and said, hey, Jesus, if you're out there, if you're real, I need help.
I love that.
And it wasn't a foxhole prayer like, get me out of this one and I promise I will. It was, I give up. I don't know what to do.
Right.
And, I was breaking into churches to sleep, things like that. It was that bad. And, I weighed about 140 pounds. So many of the guys that I knew from back then are dead because they didn't get out. And, I was just, so I get up in the morning and I look and watch the sun come up, and I pray, and it's always a thank you, because I'm not there anymore. I'm here, and how I got here, there's no other explanation. Most of my friends from then and from my childhood are dead.
And agreed, because and what I love about your story, and you and I have become really good friends, so I know your story, but is the fact that there were churches for you to break into to sleep, and then the fact that you found God, and and I'm a firm believer that God saves us also, and most of the time from ourselves. How did you transition from a guy that was on drugs, breaking into churches to be able to sleep, just really a hot mess, an addict, all of that, to where you're sitting today in this beautiful office building that I've had 30,000 square feet, I believe, but I have toured it with you. It's amazing. Your business is off the chain. We're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. Hanging out with the President of the United States. You have friends such as, Judge Janine and Laura Ingraham, and you've got a private jet. There are people out there right now that are watching this show, or they're going to catch it on a replay, and they're not doing very well right now. They're in a place where they think it's hopeless. And I don't know how much more hopeless you can be breaking into churches and being strung out on drugs. And look at you today. How did you get there?
Okay, well, let's go past once I got clean. Okay, once that happened. Okay, and I had a great mentor in my life, a gentleman that kind of took me under his wing and saw me through that process. Once that process was behind me, I wanted to get back into the business, the marketing business that I was in, that I destroyed. And once I got back into that business, I really did start applying knowledge and learning more knowledge about how to sell. And I would say to you, the biggest thing that anybody can learn to do is sell. The level to which you will survive in life will be determined, I think, by your ability to get what you want. Think about this. People say, don't you just love it when people say, well, I'm not a salesperson, right? Yeah, you are. Everybody is. It's just to what degree. Everybody wants to get what they want. And everything you want, somebody else has. It doesn't matter. And this isn't just about money. It's about anything that you would want in life. I wanted to become more spiritual. There was a girl in the church that had all the spirituality in the world, right? I knew that. I went over and I stood next to her. I wanted what she had. And in order to get what you want from people, you have to be able to convince them. People don't know this, but the definition of sales is moving somebody into a course of action or the acceptance of something. Moving somebody into a course of action or the acceptance of something. When are we not doing that? Now, the ability to get what you want out of life is determined, the level you survive at is determined by being able to get what you want out of life. Well, you have to sell. You have to be able to move people into a course of action or the acceptance to get what you want from them, whether it be money, spirituality, get them to join your team, get them to produce.
Right.
So we're doing this every day. And I would say that'd be the one thing that I learned was how to really sell, and sell ethically.
Well, and that you do, because I do business with you, and you and I are getting ready to put together some really big deals. And why I chose to do business with you, and my company does business with Hamlin and Associates and with you, is number one, you are the CEO of the company, and every one of my clients I bring there, you are personally on the phone with them. You're not putting them on, the president of your company is Eric Shepard, the former president of Rolls-Royce. So when we talk about you having power players in your organization, that is an understatement. You have got the ability to attract the biggest and brightest in the automotive industry. Again, your new president, Eric Shepard, who I met when I was in Florida. He was just a wonderful person, but he was the president of Rolls-Royce. And but what I love about you and doing business with you is that when I say, John, I have a deal, and you're like, okay, I'm on it. And you personally get on the phone to every one of my clients, which to me means so much. It's like a CEO thing, but it's a respect factor. And I think one of the reasons you are so successful, and I can't even tell you, this feed is blowing up right now. I wish you could see it. People are saying that your story is life-changing. This is amazing. This is awesome. I can't believe this guy. Unbelievable. This is probably some of the best comments I've ever seen on this feed. So you inspire people, but you're not afraid to roll up your sleeves and to work and to take the phone calls. I can call you at, you and I've laughed. I've been on the phone with you at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and you answer the telephone at Hamlin and Associates because you're the last one in the building. It isn't that you don't have a whole team to do it. And, and I think it's that work ethic. So what kind of advice, because this is supposed to be a 15-minute show, but we are going to go a few minutes over. What kind of advice would you give to entrepreneurs out there right now that are struggling, that are going, okay, it's the end of the year. We're sitting here, but 2019 is a new year. What are the 3 takeaways that you would give them right now that they could start to build a business like your business, successful, hands-on, doing it the way John Hamlin does it?
Well, first off, this work ethic. You have to be willing to work. That you can't escape that. You already covered that. The other is I would constantly hone my skills on selling, and the biggest part of selling is staying in agreement. And there's technique. There's real good technique on how to learn how to stay in agreement with somebody, and I call it checking in. Constantly, when we make a presentation in Hamlin and Associates, it's constantly saying, that makes sense, doesn't it? That's pretty cool. Even the word is agreement. That's pretty cool, And when they go, yes, it is. Now, if I'm able to stay in agreement, the whole way through the presentation, is the close not almost a foregone conclusion?
Right. I agree.
Okay, so you agreed, and that's I did that in a question.
You lined me up for that one, John.
No, it's actually become very intuitive. People that have been around me forever, they say they think I'm doing it purposely. They don't understand that I've actually made it a part of my life. If the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again the same way and anticipating a different result, you'd agree that's the definition of insanity, correct?
Absolutely.
And there again, you notice I just checked in with you, and that's intuitive. Okay, if that is true, then doing something over and over again the same way and anticipating the same result would probably be pretty accurate, right?
Yep. Look at me. I'm just agreeing and agreeing and agreeing with you.
No, but because I want to make sure that I want to keep checking in with you, because if you fall out of agreement with me and I get down the road and I can't close the deal, so it's become intuitive. I'm not doing that purposely. But my whole point is I don't like random outcome. I want controlled outcome. So if I can keep you in agreement all the way through, I know what you can, and do the presentation the same way, get good at doing it, I know the outcome. I pretty much know the answer. Like just when I said to you, would you agree? I knew you were going to say yes. How could you have said no?
Well, and I will tell you, John, what you said, Tribe, is so powerful. I mean, everyone's sticking on. It's crazy. We've got hundreds and hundreds of views so far. It'll go into the thousands. But what I like you said is that you don't like random control. You want control. Pardon me?
I don't like random outcomes.
Yeah, excuse me, random outcomes, right? And that you want to control the outcome. That is absolutely a fierce mindset. You know, that you stay in control of the deal. You stay in control of the outcome the entire time, which is what creates success. I think I learned something this morning, John. Thank you. I love that.
You bet.
Yes. So tell us what, as we start wrapping up, tell us what 2019 looks like for Hamlin and Associates.
It's huge. We've made a commitment. You know, I had an offer real quick. I had an offer to buy the company. It was a pretty stellar offer. And when it came down to the final negotiations, I realized, Lisa, I'm not done. And I watched a few of friends of mine that had sold their companies, and they kind of went into miserable. They just weren't ready. They shouldn't have done it. And so it was either, go big or go bigger, not go big or go home, go big or go bigger. And so we bought this building, we renovated it. We've got a communications company coming in. I guess, like you mentioned, we hired Eric Shepard as president to help facilitate a lot of the things that we're growing. So we are going to become just something that a dealership becomes addicted to. One of the things I learned, and I think it's a good place to wrap up if you have to go, is, back in 2004, I had a revelation. I had a client call me, general manager of a car dealership, and I really do care. And he called up, and he was really he was scared. He was afraid that if he made another bad decision, he told me, he said, John, I've made some bad decisions, and I'm really worried that I'm going to get fired. And I got to do some marketing. I'm just not sure what to do. I looked at what he had been doing, and I said, just trust me on this. We'll make this happen. And he did. And I was very concerned for the guy. And he called me up on Monday, and he was like, man, it was unbelievable. It was one of the best events we ever had. And I was like, yes. And it hit me right then, Lisa, that I never went yes when I got a check. And I realized when you hear all these people talk about find your why, I realized that was my why. So to me, the best way I could surmise is just be of service. That's what I changed. I told my COO at the time, I'm not going to work for money anymore. I'm going to work to make sure that everybody around me is successful. And if I do that, my success is a foregone conclusion. And that's when I really started to make money. That's when it really started to pile up. And so now our game is we're going to start adding more and more services for the dealers. We're going to look at their troubled spots. We're going to look at where they're having problems. And instead of yelling at the problem, which is what everybody does, we're going to fix the problems.
Yeah, and fix them, you do. And, and one thing before we go, I want to hit on the fact, I want to talk about the philanthropy of John Hamlin, because I think it's amazing. And it's something that, I don't see you out there, oh, hey, I gave $12 to this, I'm putting it on Facebook. You're a pretty quiet philanthropist, but you're a huge philanthropist, and what I want you to tell everybody about is your commitment to Make-A-Wish, which is something I'm so near and dear to me.
Well, I've got two big commitments. Make-A-Wish is one of them. The Hamlin and Associates Make-A-Wish Ball is the largest fundraiser, voted the #1 gala in Orlando. and it just keeps growing. When I got involved with it, it was about a $250,000, $300,000 event. We hit 1.25. We'll hit 1.5 this year, and then and that's obviously it's. And all my charities that I work with are mostly children, but also military and law enforcement. And then I have another charity that's very dear to me called Camp Boggy Creek, and this is a camp for children who are very sick that normally would not be able to go to camp. I'll give you one quick story on that if I can. Do we have time?
Yeah, we have all the time. I mean, we are not losing our audience. It's crazy. They love you. I want you to read the comments when we get off. They're obsessed with you.
Thanks. The best thing I can tell you about working with children's charities, first off, I was homeless. I can tell you, and I just helped a friend of mine feed 20,000 homeless people over Thanksgiving. I'm not bashing homeless, but when I looked at, I was homeless, and I was homeless because of decisions that I made. And most of the people I hung around with were homeless because of the decisions they had made. When you take a look at a child that's born with AIDS or leukemia, and there's the story. And I'm walking out of Camp Boggy Creek one day, and I see this little redheaded girl, right? She looks around this camp. The kids are running, they're playing, they're doing things they've never been able to do before in their lives. And she just looks around, she reaches up, she pulls her wig off. It was her wig.
God.
Because you know what? It was leukemia week. None of the other kids had hair either. And she took off running and went and played. Now, God bless her, but think about the takeaway for me. People always say, well, I get more from these children than I give to them. And I always thought that was just false humility. No, it's actually very true. How could I sit here and gripe about, I can't get a stupid signal on my cell phone? This little kid is slaying leukemia. That's her dragon. My dragon is I don't have a signal. These kids teach you gratitude. They give you so much. When you look at them and watch how they run around with smiles on their faces, and their whole life has been hell. Hell for you would be hell for you and me.
Absolutely.
That's why, so to tie that into the homeless, yes. Why do I go to children's charities? Why did I choose that? Because they truly are the innocent. Kid born with AIDS had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Kid born, addicted to crack had nothing to do with it. And so that's why I think that I migrated towards those charities. But I do help with, like I said, we just had 20,000 homeless people. There are people out there that are homeless that are definitely in need. So I didn't want to come across as I was bashing.
Yeah, no, and you didn't. And I'll tell you, I mean, and so much of it is, and I think you and I both know that, John, is that for the homeless especially, I've got a huge heart, and for that, I'm grateful. I've never been in that situation, but I think a lot of it's mental illness and just the fact that we're not able to deal with it very well as a society. I see Chris Walsh on here, my very good friend. He is the founder of Vets Cars. And we do a lot of business with him also. In fact, I'm going to connect you, me, and Chris Walsh. But a lot of them are brave men and women and soldiers, and that have come back, and so it's really noble of you. I want everybody out there to know, if you like John Hamlin, to call me, because my company is working exclusively with Hamlin and Associates when it comes to digital direct marketing. And it's just been an amazing experience, John, working with you and working with the team at Hamlin. I mean, I could not be more thrilled that that we're doing business together. And then today, everybody, as we wrap up, I want to put it out there tonight at 7 o'clock Central Standard, Eastern Central Standard, Eastern, or 8 o'clock Eastern time. I've got a huge automotive celebrity coming on to make a major announcement. I've actually scooped Fox News on this, Wall Street Journal, Automotive News, and Detroit Free Press. And he called me the other night and said, I want you to make the announcement, Lisa. So if you guys want to come back tonight, I've already started talking about it. It's at 7 Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. This is a big deal in the automotive industry, and I'm really honored that we get to break the story here. But John, as usual, I have always loved talking to you. You're inspiring. I'm dying for you to get off and see the comments. I mean, you have now created a whole new legion of fans from what you do personally and professionally. So thank you again for getting up. I noticed the sun is out where you're at, and it's still dark in Austin, Texas. Difference between Central and Eastern time zones.
Yeah.
So John, would you like to close with anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, and I hope some of the people got something from what I said.
Well, I am so excited for you to be able to read all of the comments when we get off, because I like to say when I'm out speaking is, do you believe that what you do matters? And I'm with you in the fact that I believe that if you do what you love, the money will come.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and that's where I think you and I always agreed we had similar philosophies, which is why we work so well together. But anyways, you obviously do what you love, and you do it very well at Hamlin and Associates. So continued success into 2019. We're excited to be part of your success journey. And everybody tune in tonight at 7 Central, 8 Eastern for a huge automotive announcement. And John, thank you again. And it's the last day of the month, so you guys need to go out. Although, you know what? Nobody wants to hear from you today. You know that, right?
Right. So, look, if you're calling on a car dealer today, it's like calling on a restaurant owner in the middle of lunch.
Exactly.
How long have you been doing this?
Yeah. So why don't you just go ahead and just let the staff go today and just take a day off?
Mass email day.
There you go. All right, John. Thank you so much. Continued success. All right, everybody, go out there, be fierce. I will see you tonight at 7 Central, 8 Eastern for a huge automotive announcement that, again, I've scooped Fox News, Automotive News, and Detroit Free Press on. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.